Hello, welcome back to Sover, the font conjuration. I wanted to make a font for a long time and I finally decided to make one for the game I'm making, which is a cursed Tetris game, so I decided to make the font cursed as well. And I think it turned out pretty cursed indeed. But yeah, this is how it looks. I don't know a lot of things about fonts, so it didn't become the most readable thing ever, but I still think it has its charm and I think it fits the game pretty well. And I also like how it looks as the subtitles of these videos. I used this free program called FontForge to make it, and for the lowercase letters I only used curves. So like if I open the G for example, you can see that it's entirely made out of curves. And all of these curves are between 2 points that I can move around freely. And these lines that come out of the points determine the shape of the curves. And I made these in a really simple way. I just put down these points and then use the cursor to adjust them to what I wanted them to look like. And the order of the points are important because of holes. Like if I move this to the side and I make like a circle or something, it's a beautiful circle. Then you can see that it appears there. And if I make another circle in it in the same order, then it doesn't create a hole. But if I make one in the opposite order, then it will create one, as you can see there. And as you can see by these arrows, the main outline goes clockwise and the whole goes counterclockwise. And for readability reasons, I wanted to make sure that similar letters line up correctly. And that's what these guidelines are for. So like if I show you the A, that's the first one. So you can see the main part of the G is in this box. And it's the same with like the E, the I, the C, and the O, and basically most of the other ones as well. And that makes it a bit more readable than if they were different heights. But that's basically all the knowledge I have on fonts. I also wanted to make the lines have a similar width, but it didn't really work out very well, as you can see. It's really hard to judge the size of these while you're making it. And one unique thing about this font is that it's monospaced, which means all of the letters take up the same amount of space. And that's why the eye looks like this, for example. But in other fonts, like in that one, it's just one line. And I did it like this because it makes it a lot easier to work with this in a video game. And previously I've been using the console S font for my games. So to make it easy to switch between the two, I made sure that this font has the same size as console S. And I use that font as kind of a guideline. So I saw that in that one, the middle part of the lowercase f doesn't align with the guidelines. And I assumed that that was for readability reasons as well, so I too did it that way. And I took a really long time on making the lowercase letters, and I had no clue what to do for the uppercase ones. And my first idea to make it really cursed was that I would just have a really basic uppercase letter and then I would overlay the lowercase equivalent on it. And I did exactly that, as you can see here for example. And while the lowercase letters are clockwise, I made sure that the uppercase letters are counterclockwise so they cancel out when they intersect. And I honestly really love how these turned out, but sadly they're really unreadable. Less so when they're this big, but when they're really small, it's like impossible to read them basically. So I have to remake them to what they are now, which as you can see still follows the same principle. So like as you can see, these ones are just the same character, just one is clockwise and the other is counterclockwise, and they're slightly offset from each other. They're less cursed now than they were before, but at least they're more readable. And you might have noticed this already, but the numbers are these 7 segment displays stuff. So they're just made out of these 7 ellipses. And if like you remove this one from the 8, then you get a 9. And if you remove this one from the 9, you get a 3 and so on. And in the game there's a joke where the wizard talks in French and that's why I added these extra characters. Though looking at it now, this accent is a bit offset, so let me fix that real quick. We only deliver the best as Sover the Curse Font HQ. Now there's one extra thing that I haven't mentioned yet. In my subtitles I put an outline over the text, but that can get a bit messed up when the angles are too sharp. So like for the W for example, I couldn't do it like this, because then the outline would make a spike at the bottom, and that's why the W looks like this. Now in the J, this one is also like that, but it's really hard to see. But as I zoom into these edges, you can see that they're actually curves. I think I wanted to make them to be simple lines, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. And as I'm sure you noticed when I showed you these uppercase, lowercase letters, I also added the cursed Tetris pieces onto this. Because there's a game mode in my game where it's really important to know which pieces you can get at any given time. And I decided to display them with text. And I think this upgraded my game from an arcade game to a fantasy. Now here's a time lapse of me finishing the rest of the characters, or at least the rest of the common characters. Obviously I can't do all of the 155,000 characters. But yeah, with this I think the font is pretty complete now. I'll be using it for my subtitles for the foreseeable future, and I'll definitely be using it for more of my games as well. But yeah, in the end here I would just like to say that making a font is extremely difficult, and I have really high respects of the people who do this professionally. I don't know if I'll ever make another font again, but if I do, it will definitely be in the far future. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and the font itself, and thank you for watching.